here. Can you hear me? Sound check, sound check, sound check. Chris, awesome. Good to hear, good to hear, good to hear. Cool, cool. Hey, Kurt. Yeah, trying to recover.
Hi, welcome back to
Getting in a
Landscape
John,
3D. Today
getting
we're
some
going to
strength
do a
back. You
speed
know,
paint of one of our little
some
peasant
energy
houses
back.
to show how we
Burn
can
out
use
from the
some
weekend,
water
but
paint.
we're good.
Here's the peasant house I have.
Waiting for
Thankfully,
guests to come on.
it has been primered black.
What's up, Fuzz?
Okay, so we're all ready to go. So I got about 3 minutes into it so far. We got the base, we got the roof, and then we have a few smaller components. I have flat boards here for the loft, and then I got a little itty bitty window parts there. And then I have a hood for the flue up on the roof, and this could be resin printed or FDM printed. And then lastly, we have a little ragtag door to put on the front with a filament hinge. All right. In terms of prepping the models, sometimes these little holes where the filament's supposed to run through can get clogged up on your resin doors. Sometimes the resin will just settle in there when it's washing
What's
out.
up, Brungale, Lord Forth? Hope everyone's doing well.
Sometimes with these doors,
I'm starting the sponsored gifts.
You know,
it's a slow process like it is every year.
You can use a drill bit
because I got to reach out to everyone. I usually do it in groups of 3 to 5. Give them options.
Clean out
send them out.
Those holes.
So usually that takes a couple weeks.
Find the door there. I might just.
The cutoff is way higher than I thought because of the influx at the end there. But it's not a definite because some people pass. So we'll see. Some people I can't get a hold of because I don't know who they are. So I try, reach out to a couple other channels, figure it out. That's always fun.
So we got those holes cleaned out. Should be plenty of room now for our filament. And we will continue on. All right, the first thing I'm going to be doing is applying brown onto the timber frames. And I'm going to use a pretty good sized brush. I don't care about getting brown everywhere for this first part. In fact, it's preferred. So
I sent his out because I already knew what he was getting. His went out. He probably has it already. I sent it out Monday.
Now, I don't want to use.
I knew exactly what to send him because I knew the first person would pass. So it was a no-brainer. So he got his. Yeah, that's an awesome. The Vault of the Dragon King thing's awesome. Thanks, Rascal. Rascal just gave me his, so I'll get that out hopefully tomorrow. I think Rascal was number 3. Yeah, Rascal was 3, which is awesome.
It's kind of just a waste of time. You can go do something else.
Yeah. The top 10 are all 500 or more.
The tops and the bottoms of your timbers.
Okay. It's just amazing. It was amazing.
Paint the face of these things because you're not going to be coming back later to hit these sides.
Yeah, it was amazing.
This is kind of the last time they should be getting painted unless you absolutely have to come back in to do a little touch-up. Okay.
Yeah, I got it up to show everyone where we are.
See, I'm just kind of going at it.
Yeah, dude, it was really kind of you. Thank you so very much.
Taken to keep the wood color off of the plaster parts.
Everyone made a difference this year, let me tell you. Everyone. No matter how big or how little it was. Everyone made a difference.
Over these and let some of those black timber lines come through. You know, kind of dry brush it a little bit as opposed to like a straight paint job. And I might do it both ways. Sometimes I might saturate it a little bit, and sometimes I might just kind of hit the tops and move along. Variation is really the key. You want to paint badly differently all over the place, okay?
Got a super exciting announcement that I'll make probably at the end of the show, but it's cool.
The key is really different amounts of pigment in different areas, and that'll kind of create a little bit of your shimmer in the end. Okay.
All right, go over to Troller Games.
Your repurposed freighter drifts through space. As you stare out at the star-flecked void, another ship comes in. Wait, is this sci-fi? I thought we agreed on a World War II campaign. Oh, did we?
So, Mike.
That's cool. I can pivot.
No Anna yet.
The smell of smoke curdles in your nostrils. Hold up, I thought we were prepping for a zombie apocalypse campaign. All right, here's what we're doing. It's the year 3700. Humanity's elite fled to other planets long ago, taking with them all forms of advanced technology. Earth survivors scrape by with historic tools as weird phenomena plague abandoned nuclear sites. Witnesses report seeing glowing lights and the dead rising from their graves. Amidst the chaos, 3 strangers will meet in Denbar. A veteran zombie slayer, a disgraced general out for revenge, and a space mercenary sent to investigate the power plants.
They do that every year.
Describe your characters.
Yeah, that's true.
How did
as long as it's not Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my God, that would be funny.
For the job.
You never know. That would be pretty funny if it was. It's got to go somewhere.
I was all jazzed about Joe Flacco, and then that one kind of flopped.
Yeah.
So I'm all Richardson or nothing at this point. He don't need any competition.
Yeah.
His only competition is the next quarterback they draft. So he's got to get it straight this year or he's done.
Right. Right. Not sure where Anna is.
A story once spoken is ageless. The dungeon imagined without end. The curious are the ones most courageous. The tree that endures has to bend.
Alrighty.
From stillness, the mad mage is stirring.
Well, kicking off this week of 4 streams.
Voices, the castle takes shape. Zagig will test the enduring. Those unlucky.
Two games, and Gavin on Sunday after this. I know what I forgot to do. Timing. Hello.
Oh, good to have you back again. It's awesome. It was so great last week to have it like the good old times. Yeah.
Gary was pulled over as well.
Yeah. That is
totally because I didn't tell him.
Few minutes early, not going to hurt anyone. let me do this now. Classic D&D reprints again, giveaway. Have some good ones for the games coming up. So there we go. Talking to myself here, which is always bad. Alrighty. Okay. I think I'm ready to go here.
Hey, good. Yeah. This is a very interesting topic. Yep.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
But so we got through last weekend, and now Gary Con's very real on the horizon. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm starting to feel it. The weather change here is also on my mind.
Well, that's
It's like
good.
spring in the air. Or...
That's good. Hello. Oh, there you go. You both weren't on at the time. Hold on.
That's the
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There we go. Let me do this first too, because I want to make sure that this is switched over. So we do that ahead of time. Yeah. See, I got to go here. I should have done that ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. See, that was something you forgot to do.
Every freaking time now, man. It goes to this.
And as soon as you figured out that you have to do it, they switch it again. So
yeah.
It
yeah. It's exactly what's going to happen. It's just weird settings. So, good evening as we kick off our week here. So yeah, we're gonna have some. Yeah, it'll be some good discussions tonight. Maybe some ones you haven't thought of. I guarantee you, I have one that I bet you none of you have thought of, and I'll explain later.
Cool.
But before that, before all that, let's just see something, because we had even more after we ended on Sunday. So I like this number, 32,061. So that sounds good.
Yeah.
Keep it at $32,000. So that we have at least a smitten of a chance of making that next year, because it was so crazy. So thank you, everyone. $32,000. So well over $100,000 for the whole group, in the 7th year. So then I have the lists. I've downloaded these all. So I'm right here at Wiley. So I've already reached out to these first 5. So for the donator gifts, all the Elmores are going like fast, like they always do. So what's up, Keith? So we'll get there. We'll get to. I'll get down the list. It's gonna run roughly. My guess is between. It just depends on how many people pass, or I can't get a hold of, or whatever. But between 150 and 160 this year. That's what you had to donate to get one of the sponsor gifts. Yeah, it jumped up $50 from last year, because there was so much. I mean, $6,000 more. So just so you're aware, that's because I think I had 31 this year in total. So yeah. So we got some good. Oh, and these came in though, and these came in over the weekend from Sam. Unless I don't think I showed him that night, did I? I don't know. I'm lucky. Like I said, I'm lucky if I remember what day of the week it is anymore. Yeah. So I got these too. I added them. Yeah. Malden maps. Sealed.
Wow.
Sealed.
What?
Why the heck do you go around finding these things?
Samwise gave them to me.
Oh.
He sent them. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Attaboy.
Yeah, look at that. So 2 of them. In the shrink still. So, yeah. It's crazy. So, added all the other goodies for this year. And we have a lot of them. All right, Mike, another cool topic. What are your thoughts on, Mrs. Brunker asked me if I stayed in budget. I asked why I did. You had to be, of course, because you had to be Tim. Yes, I agree 100%.
Another good topic, Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, another good topic. So, Mike, what are your thoughts on swamps? I know it's been a long time since we've done this.
Yeah, that's why I suggested that one, because I'm sure we will do it differently this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because we got into the geology the last time. What's up there, Josh? We got into the geology last time.
It will be hydrology this time.
Hydrology,
Hydrology.
yes, of the area. So it'll
Yeah.
be good. So yes, it'll be a fun one. Anna,
That
Bog you
your
down.
thoughts on the
Yes.
topic?
yeah. Well, this is an interesting because under the term, and mostly in fantasy, we use swamps for all sorts of wetlands of every kind, so to speak. So there's a huge range of diversity when it comes to what can be labeled, fall under the label of swamp, so to speak. And
I went down that rabbit hole today at work, and
yeah.
I'm like,
Hmm.
marsh, swamp. Just
Yeah,
kept
yeah,
digging, digging,
the
digging.
bogs and fens. There's so many different ones, and
Yes.
these also have some really cool fantasy applications that I don't think anyone had thought about. So there will be some cool stuff that happens. There's some interesting stuff you can do in your campaigns that you normally don't think about. Yeah, I
I
I
have a
haven't seen
magic
any
item
adventures. Yeah, okay,
I just
awesome.
recently gave out.
Hmm.
I've given out two of them in my campaign that fall right into this category, so it'll be pretty cool to
Yep,
discuss that too. So we got a lot of. I think we're gonna all have a lot of good things to discuss tonight with this
yeah.
one. What's the one's called when they are more in the frigid zone? What swamps in the frigid zone?
Yeah, let's talk about the term swamp
They're not
first,
tagas,
because
right?
yeah,
Yes.
what swamp?
Taga.
And technically, the term swamp is that it's a wetland that is forested. That's the basic definition
Easy,
of swamp.
easy
Yeah,
distinction.
but they can come in many different varieties, meaning they can be tidal swamps in the tropics that will be mangroves in some areas, or they can be a pine-infested wetland up in the north that is full of alkali
Oh,
thing
gee.
that is not even grounded in soil. It might be floating. So there are a lot of cool stuff for
Okay.
variation to this.
Wow.
But then there are many other variants of, because in when it comes to fantasy terms, I think swamp just means any type of wetland. They will just call swamp no matter what it is, whether there is trees involved or not, so to speak.
What do you call them? The ones at DC. Well, they built
Yeah.
it on a swamp.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's a slang for that we use for every type of wetland. We call it a swamp, so to speak. That's
Yeah,
the
that's true.
yeah. But in strict terms, it needs to be forested to actually be a swamp. If you talk to someone who's a biologist or a geographer or someone who studies geography and land use and stuff like that. But in this term, I think we should include and talk about everything that is wetlands, so to speak. Yeah, in some
Yes.
form.
There was a pond we fished as a kid, which would walk out of
Yeah.
floating vegetation. Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Neat. Neat. So, where do we start here?
Well, there's a bunch of different like main wetland areas in the GREYHAWK that I think we should go over a little bit and talk about what kind
Okay.
of adventures and stuff there are there. But in the first, we should, I think, talk just a couple of minutes of where do these and why do these things? Why do some areas are
Yeah,
become wetlands and some areas are not wetlands, so to speak?
absolutely.
And they come in for a couple of different reasons. Some of them come simply because water flows into an area and that is like a depression. So a lot of wetlands starts out at lakes, and then as the water stagnates, more and more vegetation grows at the edges of it and even on top of it, and the roots and all the debris from dead plants accumulates over time, and they turn into, from being an open lake, they turn slowly into a wetland that is more and more bushes, reeds, even trees and forest, and eventually it gets just becomes flatland, so to speak, and a floodplain. So that's a lot of the life cycle of a wetland, so to speak. It might start out as a river delta, it might start out as a lake, and then slowly it dries out and gets more and more vegetation in, and more sediment gets dumped in or falls in, so to speak. So some wetlands tend to be the same if there's enough water flowing in, so to speak. But and that's wetlands that comes from water flowing in. But there's also wetlands that come because water comes from underground. Because a lot of land have a water table, and anything that is below the water table becomes a wetland. So if there
Oh,
is a depression in the area, then that can, instead of being a lake, it might not be enough water. So if the water table is just at the surface, it becomes wet and muddy and muggy and stuff like that. And in some areas, it's precipitation. The water might come simply from the sky and fills depression occasionally. So you might have seasonal swamps that only appear parts of the year. In Africa, there is a river delta in southern Africa. It's called Okavango. It's one of the biggest river deltas in the world, and it's just a river that just ends in a desert. And every now and then, a couple of times a year or once a year, it floods the whole enormous areas, and then it dries out, and then it comes again. So some of them are seasonal too. So that's a little bit of why these things come, so to speak, and why they are
seasonal,
there.
huh?
Yeah. So some swamps are very seasonal, depending on the climate. And up north, they freeze over. So in the winter, they're just frozen land like anything else. And in the summer, they become mosquito infested wetlands where you
Wow.
can't traverse across, so to speak.
Is the Scotland moors considered wetlands or swamps? Hmm.
It depends on how you use the term, so to speak. If you want to be really technical, the ones with trees are swamps, and the ones without trees are marshes. But if they're alkaline and full of spongy matter, they will become bogs. And if they're really alkaline, and so they are so alkaline that normal vegetation can't grow in them, they become fens. That's the more if you want to. But in a fantasy world, you don't have to be that accurate. You can use these terms for fun and flavor rather than to be perfectly accurate, so to
So that
speak.
leads to a question. When Gary is designing this map, is he just throwing out names or does it make logical sense at first?
Well, yeah, bogs and fens have a tendency of being in cold climates way more than in hot climates. And there's various reasons for that. First of all, because a lot of areas in cold climate, there's usually more rainfall in temperate zones, so you have more precipitation falling down, but you also have less evaporation
Okay.
because it's colder. So that means that a lot of more depressions. If you look in Siberia, Canada, Scandinavia, you have vast areas that are full of these little lakes and bogs and fens and marshland all over the place. If you go to areas that are more warm, like Mediterranean, southern United States, or so on, then the evaporation is so large that if the water doesn't flow away, it evaporates
Hey,
before it
Patrick.
can accumulate, so to speak. So then you have much less of these. So that's one area. And the water that stays long in these depressions, they they tend to dissolve various minerals and stuff. And then you have another reason is that the soil is often thin really far north because the ice sheet that was there during the ice age has scraped it off. So the water can often get to minerals, and then they dissolve all sorts of minerals, and then they become bogs and fens and stuff, so to speak. That's the natural process. But in a fantasy world, you can have other cool stuff that can make them into bogs and stuff too.
So yeah, I'm sorry. I got
Oh yeah,
bamboozled here.
that's
So
yeah,
they are swamps are like the some of the coolest places to game in,
yeah,
right? Which is awesome, and some of the most legendary adventures are in swamps.
yep.
Um, and that makes it a lot of fun. And thanks, Patrick. So there's a lot. We'll bounce all over tonight, right?
Oh yeah,
We're gonna bounce
we
all
have a
over
lot of
tonight.
tangents in
A
for all
lot of
sorts of
tangents and
reasons.
talk about
Yeah.
maybe how each one we think got formed. I think that would be good,
hmm
and then go over some of the legendary ones. You're gonna
Yeah.
you're gonna see
There's
some.
one other aspect that I think we just need to
Good.
mention 1 minute that
One
I
more.
think is important for fantasy is that swamps are like coral reefs on land in that sense that they have more nutrients and they release oxygen and they have lots. So they are some of the most productive pieces of land or real estate, so to speak, across a landscape. So there is more wildlife, usually more vegetation, more insects, more everything in swamps. So, and the irony is that humans have often seen swamp as unproductive lands that was not really suitable for anything. But if you go back to ancient times, I think it was the opposite, because swamps are usually some of the best hunting grounds. If you want to hunt for fish and birds or whatever it is, they are in swamps. And also a lot of herbivores go to graze in swamps. If you're up in the northern parts of the world, you have moose and deer, elk and whatnot. They do a lot of their foraging in swamps because there is much more nutrient plants and stuff. So in a fantasy world, you can imagine there are more nasty monsters of all kinds and stuff like that in swamps. So they are good hunting grounds. But in more modern times, we are so inefficient at using natural resources that we see them as badlands, so to speak.
So I remember a movie from the late '60s. It was Alfred the Great, and in that movie, the bandits, he makes, the Danes, kick him out, and he goes and Ian McKellen, by the way, is in that. I didn't realize, that's the youngest I've ever seen him, and he's like, he goes finds the bandits there, and they live in the swamps because it's tough to maneuver, and they know, and there's resources.
Oh,
So
yeah, exactly.
yeah, it was a pretty good movie. If you can find it, that's one of the. It's really tough to find because it never came out on DVD. I don't think.
Yeah,
So
King Alfred
in
in England, he was hiding in the swamps to avoid the Danes for years. There's the Last Kingdom, I think, a series that BBC did, fantasy series a few years ago that depicts that really well.
Oh, okay.
The hiding from the Vikings in
the swamps.
in the swamps. Yep.
Yeah, it was really cool. So okay, we're gonna hit our own. I'm going to get in a lot of trouble near the end, Gary. So you want to stick around for this because I'm going to say something needs to be added to the map permanently. I know you're going to say no, but neither. Same thing with Sam. Sam's going to say no too, but I don't care. So we'll see. We'll see. Because I think it's cool. All right. Like I said, we hit over $32,000 if you just came on. So wonderful. Thank you all. I'm getting out gifts as quickly as possible. It takes time. Okay. Let's start north. Why not?
Yeah. I think that's where we can find if you go by area, I think that's the biggest swamp in the Flannies.
The cold marshes.
And that makes perfect sense. In the world, the biggest marshes are in Canada and Siberia and Alaska. Oh yeah, they're up there, and it's simply because the rainfall is plenty and evaporation is low. That means that enormous amount of quantities of water get stuck in the landscape. Yeah, for those two reasons. A lot of water in and not much out, so to speak. Oh yeah, there's enormous. If you go up north, you can probably see half the countryside or more can be swampy enough that you can barely traverse it without having a hovercraft or something like that.
All right, Anna, because I'm a layman, NPL just put up. Explain how bog irons formed in these swamps. I don't know the exact process because I'm not a chemist, but the thing is that a lot of these things they get so much the water trickles through very, very slowly. And that what you have is that things at the bottom, they accumulates because from the ground, the water gets slowly more alkaline and stuff. So it dissolves more and more stuff, including iron. And iron is one of these things that is they're basically rust clumps laying out in the marshlands, so to speak. So because they're not subject to air, they stay there, right? And
exactly. Because it rusts slowly in this, so they stay slowly and they grow into lumps of and they're basically rocks that rust dissolves on them, but it rusts differently because it's not in the air, it's in the bog, so to speak. So and it's poor quality, but it's fairly easy to process in that sense that you have to dig around there. Usually, I've seen them in the real world. Scandinavia is full of stuff like that. The Viking used it and stuff. So the problem is it normally doesn't come with carbon and stuff. So you have to, in order to make good steel of it, which is kind of an irony because just like Moose pointed out in chat, a lot bogs that are filled with vegetation matter, when that is compressed over time, it turns into carbon. And that's why you have a lot of carbon in North America, in Russia, in Europe and stuff.
Oil,
that is old wetlands that have been compressed millions of years ago. And then it's built more and more sediments on top, and then due to pressure it becomes coal after some millions of years. So so the bog iron is part of that early process, so to speak.
Okay. So cold marshes.
Yeah.
What are the indigenous up here? And it's formed because it's a little bit lower area and the water just sits, doesn't evaporate.
Yeah, it slowly trickles out, so to speak. And it's not like it's dry and wet. The whole landscape is like a sponge. So a lot of these areas, when you walk around, it's very questionable whether you are on land or you're in water, because it's a very gradual process. When you walk across, you can often see the whole landscape goes up and down like this, because often sometimes it can be only like a couple of a feet or two of solid or like semi-solid matter of moss and tree roots and stuff like that. And under there is water. And sometimes that kind of mat or lid on top of the water can be 10, 50 or 100 feet thick, but under can be a large lake. There can be enormous amount of quantities of water under it. I've been diving in these things a few times, so you can have you can have a big monster. You can have scrags living in the whatever or something cool.
And everyone's seen those Facebook pictures of those circular land lakes that like move around. I was like, wow.
And then you have another force that creates these kind of weird phenomena. It's that's temperature difference. In the winter, things freezes over and it gets really cold and frozen. And then in water, in spring, you can have an inflow of water coming from, especially if the rivers flow north. So they can be warmer in one area and water comes in, and then it can be frozen on top, and that can create volcano-like things and all sorts of weird things that come from temperature difference too. So you can, and then add some cool fantasy. I could definitely see this is an ecosystem that could probably hold some interesting monsters, and black dragons going into colder climates might like to live in a bog like this, and also a lot of wildlife will go, meaning the local wildlife from elk to moose to
a lot of birds,
meaning exactly, the birds come and nest here, the herbivores from the area come in and do it. Not many serpents. It's usually too cold for them.
Okay, I'm just thinking Florida.
Reptiles is it's usually too cold for them, so it's usually mammals of all kinds, so to speak. So
interesting.
I noticed that the cold marshes, like fingers of it, extend into Blackmore. So is Blackmore high, like the plains parts, say on the Darlene map,
probably higher.
Are those hillier regions?
This is that's a great point. These things on this map and on the GREYHAWK map, the cold marshes drain south, so to speak. That comes even from the north and they drain south. But if you take, if you take the original Blackmore maps from Dave Arneson's campaign, the cold marshes there, I'm not sure they're called cold marshes, but the marshes there drain out into the Blackmore Bay, which I think would be much more natural to have that. So I want to change that on my map, and so you can have the eastern part there can drain south, and the western part should drain north. But on the other hand, now I've gotten stuck with this, so we've had it for a while. But it's basically two marshes, because there's like one area in the middle that there's no big. But they can basically, if you walk, you have to really try and find that gap in between. That might be hard, so to speak, but it's and often I bet in the winter it will be easy to traverse. You would use a sled and snow shoes or something, and you go across. But in summer, it's probably terribly difficult. It's swampy. It's full of mosquitoes, or worse, in a fantasy world
too.
Oh yeah, it's an enormous area. It's an area that is like 500 miles or more from one end to the other.
Well, look at this.
More.
The road must be gone here.
Yeah, I put that in as a lost. Yeah, that was me
Oh,
thinking that, and the reason for that is I thought that both the people in Blackmore didn't want to keep a road that could make IUs invade easier, and IUs didn't want to have a road going out that people could come in easier, so to speak. So they both
yeah.
wanted to isolate themselves. That's why no one, that road was built during the Great Kingdom era. That's what and I didn't name it, but I simply said, well, it then doesn't exist
Okay,
anymore in that part, so to speak. That was my decision.
It
Yeah,
couldn't.
that's neat. Yeah, Patrick, it's pretty good. Patrick,
yeah.
you need to respond to me in Discord. What's your um, uh, choice is, or talk to me about it. So,
Yeah.
yep.
So cold marshes like that can be very, very dangerous to traverse because they can be like quicksand. You can go down in them and it can be really, really hard to get out. And I've got stuck in them. So, and I've got vehicles stuck in them. I've even seen armored vehicles get lost
Oh, I can imagine.
and just disappear because they at night they drove out and they felt it looked good and it felt decent and then they fell through. And so it can be really, really dangerous. And you can see that there are monsters that are and critters that are more that have special
You're there,
feet and
Hager.
stuff, so they can be specially adapted to walk. I can think about what if you can have some sort of kind of troll or something that have bigger feet that can easily walk on these things to hunt or something like that. That
Yeah.
you can imagine cool stuff like that, and also herbivores and stuff and so there because these are fairly productive, so to speak. There's especially a lot of birds and there's fish and stuff in these places too. So yeah,
So, yeah, if you traverse north, there's a smaller one up here. It says Gloom Fens, and which I
yeah,
know nothing about. Real
yeah,
small.
yeah,
And then there's another one called what's a Sinking Plain.
yeah.
So, yeah, I guess the whole area is marshy.
And that is true because up there everything is usually marshy at those latitudes up there that are around 60, around
Oh,
the Arctic Circle that makes in the world. And the difference is that very few southern marshes that way because there's very little land on Earth at the southern polar circle, but at the northern polar circle there are huge tracts of land. So that's the big difference. But there are a few in South America, and that's about it.
So Blackmore is moors. It's not a
Exactly. It
it's
makes
not a
perfect.
misnomer.
Exactly. I would 50% of the land is probably semi-wet or worse, so to speak. And a lot of the forest there is probably swampy and or really swampy, so to speak, too. So
what's the pinnacles of the toad? Gary says are up there. There's a temple of the toad.
yeah, there's some places that I don't know much about more than someone put them
One of
there.
the GREYHAWK
So
locations coming from Andre Norton's Quad Keep. Ah,
yeah.
I did not know that. I see Temple of the Toad, but I don't see Pinnacles of the Toad.
No, me neither. That was interesting. I'm going to write it down right away so I have it. Yep.
Yeah.
Gary was talking about monsters earlier. I know from the 83 guide encounter charts that we have, yes, ice trolls, ice toads, quaggoths, uh, gnolls,
Yeah.
frostmen from King
Up here.
Folio in the cold marshes.
Yeah, I can see that perfectly.
Yeah.
Frostmen makes total sense.
Mm-hmm. And
And looks
sorry.
like 20% chance tribesmen. So we got whole like
But that makes sense to
unaffiliated
yeah.
groups living in there.
Yeah. And also the interesting, you can also see that a lot of monsters and animals will migrate. They will be there certain time of year, meaning in the summer you will have one set of inhabitants, and then in the winter there will be another set of inhabitants coming because you might have migrating and other grazers will come in the winter, like the big the like in North America, bison and stuff like that. They will come down in the winter and graze here, like
Yeah,
and
long shot.
reindeer do the same thing and muskox and stuff like that. And in the summer they will disappear up more northerly out in the forest and stuff. And the characters will change. We have a lot more bird life. We have moose and other big animals that are more suited to living in the water, so to speak, because bison will not, I don't think, tread into water in the summer that much, but moose would love to. Moose are good swimmers. They have long legs, and their hoofs or cloves are really, really big, so they are good at traversing this. So there you have. And I get some people will probably go there in the summer to hunt certain things, and others might go in the winter to hunt or other things too. So yeah.
All right, so I don't know much about the encounter areas up here. What Stornowayne is, Mist Manor. That sounds like someone's abode. Cholbar. Don't know. I know there's. It looks like
Yes,
you have
some
a
of them are
dragon.
leftovers from the Grey Kingdom days, so to speak,
Okay.
and some of them are probably escapees that sects and things that don't want to be anywhere near. If you want to stay as far away from civilization as possible, I think the Cold Marsh is one of the best bets, so to speak,
So
to stay away.
leaves it alone for the most part.
I simply because it's probably very hard to get to, and so you and it's so large, so it's like a needle in a haystack. If you're looking for an enemy and you have an area the size of Alberta, Canada, or more to look in, that on foot that will take enormous amount of time. But you can also see that there might be aerial hunters like dragons and similar things could probably be very successful here because they can scout a large area. There are prey items to be had, so to speak. So that might be good. And a black dragon lair or something might be. We have one. We have Ibn Frost living up there, which might be his territory. So yeah.
Yeah.
Green dragons too. The white dragons in the winter, maybe. Yeah.
The place gets nastier, so I was looking up Ius the Evil here.
Yeah.
And no, Ius's priests do go into the cold marshes looking for stuff to use.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But they have to contend with vampiric mist and
there you
other
go.
variety of fogs, unnatural fogs.
Yeah.
And then it actually has a couple.
Oh, Patrick, thanks, man.
There's a couple conditions characters can catch while in the cold marshes.
Oh, conditions?
Black Frost and Horwind.
Oh, awesome!
Wonder what that is.
Probably like frostbite.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's a damaging condition.
It's not anything like what you're going to see on tomorrow night.
Yep. and don't drink some of the water from fens and bogs aren't that good to drink because it might be too alkaline. It might have too many metals and stuff dissolved in it. So, but some of the other lakes are probably the best water in the Flannies. But so yeah.
Okay, no, these are weather conditions. So Black Frost is just frost.
Oh, okay.
Nasty frost accumulating on you, doing damage. And then the winds just are very, very cold winds. Also will damage characters.
Because it's open country, so the wind can howl from a long distance. So yeah.
As an environmental challenge, it's pretty cool.
Anyone know of any published source adventures, Dungeon Dragon, or that are in?
Yes.
Temple of the Toad, I think, has, and Broomsage Abbey and Ramshorn Castle, I think, are mentioned in places.
Temple of the Toad?
I think Fiend's Embrace is set in the cold marshes.
And you have Slursh
Hovel. Well, I ran it then. Fiend's Embrace is in the cold marshes, from the Dungeon magazine.
According to Cannon Fire.
Yep. I also love that one area in the cold marsh is called the Hunger. to me, it sounds awesome. Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's an area that I used then. Didn't even realize it because we ran Fiend's Embrace.
As I recall, the cover of the Dungeon magazine 121 has like Brazit and Egwilv, like they're in a boat, and I think they're in that marsh.
No, they're not in a boat. Like they're embracing each other on the cover.
Yeah. Oh,
the boat's a future one. Yeah.
So the boat's a different one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the Fiends, I didn't realize it was here.
Fiend's Embrace.
Yeah, the Fiends. So the Fiend's Embrace is actually being worn now by Gilthanas Markham in Altamira, the duelist. He got it, the Cac Neutral duelist. He flaunts it. Because he's stupid. GREYHAWK's stupid. Yep. Get us over to level 3, and I'm doubling it. So here's what we're doing. We're just going to do Ravenloft stuff tonight, I guess. You get your choice of 2 of these. I got the Ravenloft's Van Richten's Guide to Werebeasts, Ravenloft 1, Ravenloft 2, and then this one called The Haunt. You get your choice of 2, but if we get over, then we'll do a second one. I'll do both. So, Temple of the Frog, yeah, okay. There you go.
That makes sense with like Ravenloft stuff because since there's so much water, so much humidity and it often cold, and so it's very misty and full of low clouds and spooky. The weather is often misty and spooky, and the limited visibility and stuff. Man. So yeah,
we're good. All right, 2 giveaways tonight. Alrighty,
awesome. Yeah.
So. Let's stay north and see what else we have. None this way. Are there any up here?
There are plenty of them, but there are none that are really named, so to speak. Named big ones.
I'm just looking to see if there's any secret ones up here that I never noticed before. That high up. This looks almost swampy here.
Oh yeah, the coastline there is often swampy, which you get. That's another meaning you have coastal bogs and swamps and stuff. But it depends. That for a lot of areas up north, that's rare because we have ice age rare in the real world because we have ice ages that scraped off a lot of the dirt. So the coastlines are usually very rocky. That far north. There hasn't been enough time since the last ice age to build, but the river deltas that meanders and put a lot of silt and stuff out, that's where you find them. So they're located around rivers and stuff, but the rest is usually hard rock for a lot of in a lot of places. So but on the other hand, the flatlands, so you find it where in northern Canada, Siberia and stuff where you have big rivers and a lot of flowing water. That's where you find wetlands that are coastal. So yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing and since it's called a fen, it's a fence. That means that in real term it means that it will be alkaline.
Thank you all.
Which means that it will be hostile to a lot of normal life. So there's special vegetation.
Really?
There's a lot of dying there. A lot of these things that it was probably a lake from the start, and then it grew more and more vegetation and stuff over time that filled up the water. So the water became saturated with roots and moss, and there's usually special sort of spongy moss that grows on top of the water, and then eventually the water it seeps out slowly, and since it's close to the mountains, if the mountains has a lot of metals and stuff that turns the water alkaline, so the water becomes toxic to life more and more. That means that the plants and trees die. So they often look really, really ominous because they are full of dead trees, bushes, and stuff like that. And then there are weird plants. A lot of them are actually insect eating. They are flesh eating plants because the waters and it's so nutrient poor because phosphorus and a bunch of the minerals that plants normally need aren't available. So that's why you have a lot of these things that sit there and try to catch everything from mosquitoes to flies to whatever. So from a fantasy perspective, it's a really, really cool environment. Take some of these things that are in the real world, just scale them up a couple of times, and you have a perfect place for fantasy-esque stuff.
There you go.
I really doubt there's a lot of insects in the troll fens, though.
There are mosquitoes and stuff because mosquitoes.
Well, the reason I'm saying is, according to the writings that I've read on it, it's year-round chilly mists.
Mm-hmm.
It's cold.
That's true. Then if it's too cold for then you don't have it. So
yeah.
I wonder what the trolls might be there because they like to live there and then hunt in the surrounding areas or something. That might be.
Don't worry about it, Chi. If you win, it's no big deal. So you're good.
I wonder because there's a line of keeps that Theocracy has, right? To keep them from, doing their attacks, their raids. I wonder if the trolls like live on the edges of the mountains, the foothills, and like the troll fens is just their
They
boundary.
might use it as a defense, so to speak, so they can live and on the other side. So they stay. It's a way that trolls avoided to be hunted down by civilized humans and stuff. Yeah, that's another possibility. And
is there an encounter chart for this, Mike?
I think there is. Well, maybe not a separate one
for troll fins.
Yeah, and the second in the 83 box set. I'm just curious, because it's like, well, this keeps the what do you call it? Theocracy, the pale on their toes, right? It's good training grounds.
Yep.
For them. So thank you all for the hype train.
Yep. One of the other cool things with bogs and especially fens is that things that fall into them dying, they stay intact for a long time. That's where you find these bog mummies for real, meaning people that were executed or fell in and died 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago. You can dig them up and you can see their hair color. You can see what the last meal in their tummies and everything. They are like they buried a week ago or 100 years ago.
They're still finding a ton of them in Florida.
Yeah.
Marshes.
Yeah.
There's just 3. Cold Marshes, Lone Heath, Vast Swamp, and then you got this big blank
thing
that Darling put there.
Yeah.
So they could have put more marsh encounters in there if they wanted.
Yeah.
Huh. Bog mummies are awesome. So the only and I just shared it for a second here. Did you go into did the troll fens have anything to do with this? This is like the only published living Greyhawk adventure that made it out, right?
I actually ran that a long time ago. I think, the fens is
part of it
on this.
Oh yeah, Twister is set there, so
editing additional design. Eric Mona's name's in here.
Yeah.
So okay, just was curious.
I think it was from the 3.0 era when Greyhawk was the default setting.
Yeah, I think it's like second or third.
So I can't really see them fighting trolls.
Well, you never know.
I think it was that's when Greyhawk was the official setting. So I guess by default it was set in Greyhawk, so to speak. So that's why they
a bunch of them, and I guess it didn't go over well, and they had all sorts of problems of paying and all that. Yeah, but still, it's cool if you can get it, find it. You can find a copy.
I have it sitting here somewhere.
You got a hard copy of it?
Yeah, I think so.
Great.
I think so. Yeah.
You probably are sitting on a gold mine now. You don't even realize how much you value.
I think I have more than I realized.
It came along with a DM screen, I believe.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. I think I have stuff in front, but yeah.
Really, Patrick?
It's sitting there, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so whoops. Let me just take that off there. Okay. So, yeah, it's a cool area. I don't know if I'd set a campaign here, but I may adventure here but I guess.
Okay. Again, I use the evil.
Yeah.
The troll winters. Ooh. Every 25 years.
Right. It freezes.
It says the mists roll out of the fens, and then you get a troll invasion.
Oh, that's awesome. Yep.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
I just realized that since we have bog mummies, why don't we have bog trolls? That are
because they're not undead.
Why can't you have? You can have undead trolls. You can have bog trolls. I just invented bog
undead trolls that regenerate.
Oh. I'm going to well, maybe they'll regenerate, but they can be cool. They can be undead trolls. Yep.
I used a troll yesterday against my players.
Nice.
They're only first level.
Ice trolls are way underpowered, Greg, Justinius. I souped them up.
Ice trolls.
They're like 2-hit die. It's ridiculous. Modules are unpopular products from the corporate point of view. Yeah, I got it. It's a shame. So, yep. There comes Mike Disney. We're just talking about Mike.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
What's going on, Mike and crew? So we're talking tonight. Swamps, marshes, what lies beneath, and how they're formed, and we're doing a double giveaway. So 2 people will each get 2 of these Ravenloft books So we got Van Richten's Guide to Werebeast, Ravenloft 1, Ravenloft 2, and also this one, The Haunt. So, yep. Welcome. Yeah, exclamation point drawing to get in. Just got to be on to claim. Everyone's eligible. So please feel free. Stick around and learn a little bit about the old GREYHAWK setting. We really appreciate the support, Mike. Thanks. And I hope you had a good time watching and playing and doing all those things for the fundraiser. Yeah. All right. So
we have an odd one that is named that is on roughly, it's as far north as just slightly north of Trollfens, and it's in Perrenland. And Perrenland is not where you normally associate with fens, but there is one that I think was swamp. It's a Quaggle swamp. So there you have one that is kind of interesting. I could see it. It's almost a bit. It's on the western, northwestern edge of of Lake Quag. Quaggle Swamp. It's named. Yeah.
Oh, I see it. Oh my gosh. There it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's named there. So it's
a
named swamp.
Bogs here and there along the Quag Lake, because I used one yesterday, Anna, from your map.
See, now that makes sense for what I'm going to implement, which I've already so that's perfect.
Yeah, that's and perfect. This could be a perfect example of what we talked about earlier. Is that in cold climate, like Perrenland is probably cold. It's both high and far north, so to speak, and there a lot of it. Ice have scraped away a lot of the soil, but soil accumulates where you have a lot of rivers. And here you have several rivers that come from the mountains and flush out lots of sediment, so to speak, that creates a floodplain near the Lake Quag. And there you can see that you can have a swampy area, so to speak, that is full of this, that is a bit like a cold mangrove forest. But since it's so cold, you don't have much trees. But I can see something with a lot of low bushes, reeds, and stuff like that, and muds and sediment plains and vast areas. There's some areas like that in Scandinavia that are around running water there, meaning that the Trollfens and others are usually very stagnant. Probably this one is probably much more dynamic and also probably seasonal too, because the rivers probably they burst in spring where you have snow melt, and then in the fall they're kind of, and winter they are kind of not much of them, and it probably freezes over in winter, and then it's a huge swampy area in spring, early summer, and then it disappears.
Jim, thanks,
so this might be a very seasonal in what time of year you go there and find it, so to speak.
Rex, that swamp is
Living GREYHAWK.
I guarantee it's from Living GREYHAWk.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah,
it's definitely not from first edition.
There's more than one swamp. Like I said, there's more than one swamp in Pearland on Anna's map.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stronghold Tim. We'll see you tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
night.
we have one that is Quagmere, that near Etzel. There's another one there. There's several little ones that make, and then we have Darg Swamp in the southern one too there. So yeah.
Oops.
And they make sense.
Do you think it's because Living GREYHAWK, as we've heard often, had to have every for the campaign plan, they had to have every kind of creature and
exactly.
terrain
I think so. Yeah.
Because it was so hard to go outside of your area.
Yeah, exactly. You needed every region needed to have
3 states over to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why. If Anna looked hard enough, she could probably find a swamp in every country in GREYHAWK.
Oh yeah, but in the real world there should be, because if there is water present, there is at least one form of wetland or the other.
Yeah, well, that's what I like about your map is when you look at it, the swamp or marsh or whatever it might be, you have it scientifically looking right.
I try to depict it so it makes sense, so to speak, because I'm overthinking this, and I'm crazy about trying to get the detail. But these aren't half as good as I want the next generation to be. So the next generation will be way better.
Right, demi-humans everywhere, orcs everywhere. It's just one big mad.
Yeah. That's a little bit of the sad part with Living GREYHAWK, because that kind of took away some of the flavor of the setting by smearing it out everywhere. Yeah.
So yeah, so we call them My GREYHAWKs. We haven't had one in a while because We've had Sherv, Almoku, a bunch of other people on. We just need to, revisit who else we can get for a My GREYHAWK thing. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. I need to. My wife would kick my ass, Tim, if I if I played another game. Trust me, she'd kick my ass. So yeah. Yeah, 2 year mark, Rob. 2 year. That's about right. 2 years we can. I think that's more enough. LG had to allow for everything in the core rules, so dwarves and elves and half orcs everywhere, no matter what. Yeah, I can see. We can see that being. Yeah, Dragger here. We're good. We're good. We can get them all. We can get them all and get you all on a My GREYHAWK episode. Absolutely,
Yep.
would love to do that. So I didn't even notice these. I'd never even read those. I mean, it's so, you know what I mean?
That is all I need to fix. But just so we make sure we get to it, we need to get to the most iconic of all the swamps and wetlands in GREYHAWK, I think, and that is the vast swamp.
Yeah.
That is interesting in many ways, both because it has probably the most famous module of D&D is set there, and also because it's interesting from a lot of standpoints. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't do it on purpose, everyone. I just don't have any time. I just don't have the time, as it is. I mean, I'm so far behind on my writing as it is. Yeah, the vast swamp. I mean, it is vast, and I can see why it's the way it is. The water just has nowhere to go.
Exactly. It's one of these, and there are examples of that. It just stays there and evaporates slowly. And now we're in the subtropics. That means that the evaporation is huge, but the inflow is also huge because there are several rivers that drains into this basin. And another possibility is that there might be channels from the ocean and in, so it might keep it at ocean level at all times, so to speak. So if it grows too high, then the water pressure pushes water out. If it evaporates too much, then seawater comes in. That's another possibility.
Where it narrows?
Yeah, because there might be channels.
Well, this is definitely coming from a higher elevation down.
Yeah, exactly, and then it comes from the north flowing in. But the water level table might be regulated because there might be ways for the water to go between the ocean and in, so that way keeps the water level stable too. That's a possibility if you want to, but on the other hand, it might just be evaporation, which means that it might be a little bit seasonal, so the water level goes up and down.
Up and down. Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is it stagnant or does it actually grow? Does it extend out into Sunday?
Yeah, that depends on either if there's water. Can water only escape through evaporation?
Well, look, it looks like it runs up the waterways,
No, that runs into it. That runs from the north in.
No, I'm saying that when it expands out, these are floodplains.
Oh yeah, exactly. They become, it spreads and expands if the water comes up and down. Yeah.
And we have this is a swamp, so it's forested.
Greatly. Some areas are probably fairly solid.
Oh yeah, a lot of it is probably very forested because it's
so
a hot
the
area.
Tomb of Horrors then is overgrown.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It's a subtropics. It's like in California and whatever. In areas that it's nice and warm and sunny, that means that if you have a water source, things will grow like crazy.
How could I get that wrong, guys? I know I have them all on here. Oh, there it is.
At 66, that's a good question. And my answer will be yes, because a lot of it is under the water table, so water should be plenty.
So was it always a swamp? Probably not. I don't think, probably it wasn't.
But we'll not call it swamp because there's no trees, but there will be.
Is it close enough? Is it close enough to the minnow wood to, touch on that? That's something I notice about some of these swamps is that they're tangent to.
No, you got this whole. You got this all in between.
Yeah, there are highlands and stuff in between,
it's
so not really. Okay. Yeah, Mannywood is probably a little bit higher. Yeah,
I'd say a lot because it's it's actually in the highlands itself. Yeah, I think that's why this is such a low-lying area and it's locked. It's locked in basically. It's landlocked.
It's a cauldron that catches the water. So And then you have Tomb of Horrors and Temple of the Prophet in there. So,
Yeah, but this is if you want to kill someone, this is the adventure to do it in.
Yeah.
It's so disgusting. S series were special, so if you're a special person, then they're for you. I guess I don't know, but yeah, there's so many death traps in this, but it's classic.
Hmm.
And we've heard people come on. I think Jim Ward said this. It was just meant to kill people. This adventure. So
I think Pat 66 has a great question because a lot of wetlands can be man-made. Just
uh,
like beavers can make small swamps, then bigger folks who can make huge
that's a good
wetlands
question. They
by
went intentionally.
flooding them. But I don't think so. But I
I
don't
don't
think we
know.
have much geoengineering on a grand scale in Greyhawk at all.
So I mean, if you watch The Secret of Oak Island, they're saying that swamp was man-made back in the whenever
Mhm.
1600s. They man-made that swamp to
Oh
cover
yeah,
the.
and there's plenty, and also the other way around. In modern times, we've taken away a lot of swamps because we've ditched them and drained them and stuff because we wanted turn them into agricultural lands and stuff instead. But in a fantasy world, you can see the opposite, meaning you might want to have a swamp to attract prey. You might want to have it to make it difficult for an enemy to invade from an area or stuff like that. So yeah,
I don't think elves would be doing swamps. I think they'd be doing more forests, and maybe they did it as a forest and it messed up because of the
that
water.
might that be, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know because Sundee's an elven realm. You got to remember.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but the Reedwood's way north, so I don't know about that.
Yeah, you can think Nat Marsh could be something that you can create. Both the Nat Marsh and the Mist Marsh might be something that you can imagine building a little bit of
Where's the Net
a
Marsh?
dam or something that just dam up the river a little bit and the water floods everywhere.
The thing with the Net Marsh is you got this navigable. The Duntide's hugely navigable through it, and you're going through the marsh.
Oh, and the other one is even more navigable. It's the Nesser is
Oh, the
probably the
Nestor's more.
biggest. Yeah,
Oh, really?
it's the
Okay.
biggest river in the Flannies, I think, because
Okay.
it drains Lake Quag, near Duv, and Wystill, all
Wow.
coming down in but and Celinton carries some water too. But so it has must have a massive amount of water coming south. So yeah.
But it's not. I don't know much about the Nat Marsh either.
Well,
We have an encounter
if
table for it though, right, Rob? And Mike, there's an
yeah,
encounter table for the Nat Marsh, correct?
maybe yeah.
So cool.
But in ancient, meaning we can look at the real world, marshlands like the Nile Delta and stuff like that, they were used for agriculture because when you have water rivers that flow over and simply they flood their floodplains in the spring, like the Mississippi does and the Nile and stuff. Today we have regulated the waters much, but back in ancient times they flooded enormous areas in spring, and those were usually the best agricultural plains because they got a lot of fertilizer every spring. So they were some of the best agricultural lands like the Nile Delta and the delta in Mesopotamia, like today's Iraq with the Euphrates and Tigris and the Mississippi and Volga and others. They were the best agricultural lands. So the borders of the Nat Marsh should probably be very, very prime agricultural lands in Greyhawk if it followed the real world things. But there might be nasty monsters and stuff. The gnats might be really bad. Yep.
Well, I'm thinking what Gary says one time of the weird of Nat Marsh. What is that, Mike? Do you know?
I think there's a nasty
It's
stuff in there.
just
Yeah.
a
A sorceress, perhaps a
powerful
hag.
witch hag.
Hmm.
No,
Yeah,
defeated by Warren Stork.
Warren's turn.
Okay.
Something
All
like
right.
right.
Thank you,
There you go.
Gary. I did not know that was where
Cool.
the
Yep.
weird. This place here, it would probably be it reeks, so that's probably why it's
Hmm.
called the reeks.
Yeah.
Here,
It's
holy
smelly.
jeez.
Yeah. And to me it's kind of interesting because one thing that I think will be, if possible, to have a connection from B2 west over to the Nesser, because if you can build a connection so you don't have to go around, then you can facilitate, if you can build a canal from B2 west over to the Nesser, that way you can cut 1,000
my
miles of
gosh.
waterways, and you can go from Nyrdiv to Relbord and inner Nyrdiv or Nyrod.
Okay.
It will be a bit like the canal that connected New York to the Great Lakes. And stuff. One of these that could facilitate trade a lot, so to speak, by not
Okay.
having to go around the whole shebang. So it's and then we have another one here. That's the Fennelmore Marsh at the eastern edge of Nyrdiv that is not talked about much because I think it's one of the more civilized marshes in that
Oh,
sense. That is
okay.
just an extension of Nyrdiv that is so shallow that it probably only floods part of the year and semi-dry and stuff like that. So that, but by area, it's a huge area, and I could see that it's probably an area used for hunting, but it's probably not mentioned because there aren't any evil cults or nasty monsters much. So it's probably one of these that a lot of migrating birds use, and they
Looks
use
like
it for
another living
hunting.
Greyhawk edition.
Yeah, that might be. Yeah, they might turn
I
anything
mean,
into a nasty whatever. Yeah.
is that like half a hex, a whole hex on Darwin's
It's
map?
it's
What the
it's more
hell?
than a hex. It's probably
Yeah.
about
That's a
four
lot.
hexes. Yeah, it's probably about 80 or 100 mile from one end to the other. So yeah, hang on a second. I can check that out and see. I just go to.
Yeah, there's a lot of places up here. Lots of locations. This is Ernst, so right, it's in the county of Ernst. Was the county of Ernst even used during Living
Yeah,
Greyhawk?
yeah. The Fennelmore is about 80 miles from one end to the other. Yeah, so it's probably it covers like four Darlene hexes. So it's a huge place. It's a 1,000 square miles roughly, or a little bit more. Yeah.
Some Von Moko says, by the way, the Reek that's in actually the Marklands part of Nyrond,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wow.
it's described it.
Okay.
That's where I think it's mentioned or has
Yeah, it's
a
not Living
little
Greyhawk.
couple of paragraphs. Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
from the Markland. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Too bad I never read that section there, Michael. Just kidding. No, I'm not actually. So, what's up, Curtis?
And then we have another go north, and we have another small one that is forgotten, and it's mentioned in the Gord books plenty, and that's the Dwinmere Marsh just north of Radagast City. Because Gord comes from the north with the Atloy and stuff, and he goes to the town of Muddick that is mentioned in the Gord books, and that's the Dwinmere Marsh that forms the delta of the Artonsamai. So it's a classic river delta marshland, so to
Okay.
speak. That yeah. So it's kind of in that sense not stagnant water. There's a lot of flowing through, but it flows slowly, probably seasonal. It dries out in fall, floods in spring, early summer, and so on. So and it's probably full of wildlife and got a lot of fish and stuff. So it's probably one of the reasons that Radagast City is there because it connects the river, good fishing, hunting grounds, access to the lake, etc. So and it's also the borderlands between the Empire of Ayus or like Red Hand and Siege and civilized areas in Ernst. So it might be an area where people smuggle things back and forth. You hide out, you do ambushes and a lot of tit for tat warfare and stuff.
Hmm.
And Gord he goes from there into Radagast City through Muddick over there, so it's part of the road movie style book there.
I already ordered it, Baron Lee. I got a flag. I'm gonna put on the back of that scooter, going all around Gary Con. I'm gonna live it up. It's a foot by like a foot and a half by 3 feet or something, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. It's the smallest one I could get, but I'm gonna blowing in the wind when I'm driving that damn scooter around Gary Con. I'm busting my stones.
Yep. Then we have the second most famous or infamous swamp after the vast swamp, and
Second.
yeah, that's the Rushmores, which is also has its fame when it comes to adventures and stuff.
I think my ranking's different from yours, Anna, but go on.
Okay, sorry.
No,
My
that's
brain
good.
just shut
I
off.
actually want to know more about the Rushmores. That one was kind of piquing my interest because
where the
Keoland.
Oh, we got stuff here though we haven't gone to yet.
Oh yeah, we have more.
Let's not skip Miss Marsh. Let's not skip the Miss Marsh.
Oldest one. Yep. And Mist Marsh and Rushmore's both have an anomaly.
Okay.
Give me a sec.
Yep. They have that GREYHAWK hydrology illness anomaly that happens in many times, meaning it drains into two places.
Right.
Yeah. And that is unnatural, but it actually happens in nature at places. There are places and there's one famous in South America between the Amazon and one of the other river systems. There is a cross link between them. So there are exceptions there to this rule.
And down there's all these towns that have been swallowed up by it.
Yep. So there are exceptions to it. So but the Mist Marsh and it might be one of these that was originally dammed up to be a lake or something. That's a possibility too, or it might be fully natural. Can be either way.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting to get over on that side. So here, there's a whole adventure from Age of Worms takes place here. I actually ran it as this one-off separately from my group, and that is right here. We even have the picture for it. Give me 1 second here. The artwork. There we go. Right on the edge. That's it.
Curtis. Oh yeah, that's a great picture. Yep.
Yeah, it's nice. That is in Dragon Dungeon 126. Right.
Into the Mist Marsh?
No, it's Encounter at Blackwall Keep.
Encounter at Blackwall Keep.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's the third one by Sean Reynolds. A lot of mutated lizard men in it, but you go into the Mist Marsh. I've done a lot of adventures in the Mist Marsh in my time. It got to be the most used for starting GREYHAWK campaigns. Yeah. It's close to you're right, Gary. It's close to the free so you can throw anything in there. You know how many fox women I've thrown into there? I remember I did one for the Living GREYHAWK group with Eric Menke and all them. I had a fox woman in there. You know, I've done all sorts of stuff in there. I actually one time I ran Baldrin's Beacon in there too. I moved it. Well, renamed it and stuff. So Foxy Women, yeah, I love them. Yep, and that is right there in that Mist Marsh area. So you got a lot of cool things you can do. And you're right, it's not that far, but like, does it make sense where it is? I guess it does.
Yeah, to some degree, yeah, it does. It's like a basin between the surrounding hills. So yeah, that makes sense. Because you have like inflow from three sides, and that means that might be, but this is probably more fed from the rivers than actually precipitation, so to speak. So it's
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
And we are so far south that evaporation starts to be an issue because it's warm. It's like almost.
I got some Mist Marsh lore.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
All right. So going through the City of GREYHAWK box set, the set part. That talks about the Mist Marsh. There's some interesting rumors about a mad druid living in there and a haunted cemetery within the swamp. And then this is another interesting thing. There is a GREYHAWK. I'm assuming this is unique to GREYHAWK. The mangaroo trees.
Yeah, not the kumquat trees, but mangaroo.
Yeah, apparently it comes from the Night Watch, the novel Night Watch, and it's just some kind of twisted trees
with fruit on it.
Yeah.
So it's like a mixture of a couple different things in real life that they made that into. Yeah, but it's like one of those low-lying bush trees that Anna was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Mist Marsh.
Yeah, they're called mangaroos though in that, not mangrove.
Yeah, mangroves are technically
literally mangarooed, Gary.
Yeah. Mangroves are technically saltwater marshes or tidal marshes at the saltwater ones, but we're a fantasy world, so you don't have to be that in GREYHAWK.
So here's a very, very small swamp that I kind of placed. And that's on the inside of this hill area here. It's called the Gravemoor. So
Oh yeah.
I've done a lot of this is my own doing. So that's an addition for me. What's that?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in there,
makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of old Sewell and Iridian burial. Going back to the migrations, and if anyone knows Lord Twall, that's where his main burial ground was in there, and it's not far from all the locals out of Harby, so it's a cool place that we can utilize. So. Treants, there are swamp treants. There are all different variants of treants, Pat. I mean, a ton of them. There are swamp treants. Yeah, I think in Glades of Death, there's one. They're not very nice swamp treants, by the way, in that book. So I just used a lightning treant on someone. If you saw that adventure a couple weeks ago.
Now I got an idea for a new monster.
Uh oh.
I'm going to stat them out and present them later.
Just use them during Tower of Gygax.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'm just talked about. So yep. Mm-hmm. I got a cool idea for a monster. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So by the way, I was told I have 10 at my table at Tower of Gygax now because I get to kill Rose Estes and her son. Yes, because they need a spot, so they're joining my table. So I have 10 there to start. So I'll send Eric Monum over.
Jersey Triads. Wow, that wasn't that. I wasn't thinking that vicious, but we'll get that.
Yeah. So, bollocks, brother. Yeah. All right. So, all right. So where to next? This is just.
But yeah, but
well, let me just say this. Mm-hmm. A lot of the description of the Sus Forest is swamp.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
That too.
Yeah, is like I'd say. I mean, you've done a good job out here. Like here, Sus Fens, Troll. Yeah, this is all swampland running right up.
You have the
right
whole
here.
along
Definitely
the Jewel
swamp.
there. Yeah, along the Jewel there's many rivers have wetlands, especially. In the lot of I would say in the real world we have dammed up and regulated rivers, so we've removed a lot of these wetlands, but natural flowing rivers create vast lands of floodplains that are flooded partially or all the time and stuff. So in a fantasy world where you have much less of the rivers run wild, so to speak, they flow freely, that means that you have way more of it. So yeah.
Yeah, and it runs all the way. Like this is definitely another area that I would say.
Exactly, you have lots. I just added them where I saw them naturally be, so to speak, along the river.
No, so, it works. It really works well for what my development of the area here too. So I appreciate that. Nice. But like, it's not a named swamp at all.
No, it's really a sus, or the sus fence is the only one that is named. But
absolutely.
Might simply because a lot of people don't dare to go in there, so they don't
so
give them
dense. It has to have some kind of wetland.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we have to remember that on this map, every pixel is like a quarter of a mile to half a mile or something like that. So there is a vast. There can be enormous amount of small various. Like little bogs and marshlands or wetlands of all kinds in a lot of places, and most of the Flanies is in temperate areas, which means that they get decent to rich rainfall. So there's plenty of lots of little wetlands spread out all over the place.
Look, you guys are all busting Jersey, man. I'm going to tell you one thing. You guys go into the frickin' Pine Barrens by yourself, and you hear that squealing noise of the Jersey Devil. You guys are running like little biatches, all right? It's scary as shit, man.
There you have a monster for
There's a monster. There's a monster running around South Jersey since I was a little kid. They showed me that movie about being the 13th child of, in the 1700s. It scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I never wanted to go anywhere near the Pine Barrens ever in my life. Oh my gosh! All right, so
we talked about a lot of these places are named mist, like the mist marshes and so on, and that is because when you have standing water, then you get mist usually in the evening and in the morning.
Yeah, that's just a temperature change.
Exactly, you get exactly. Yeah, that's it. When the temperature falls below the dew point, and the dew point is depending on the air pressure, the temperature where the water vapor has to be converted into to from steam or into to become water droplets, so to speak. They condensate. So that is and that happens in depending on the pressure at certain temperatures. So as soon as the temperature falls below, and in the morning you have the weird phenomena that as soon as the sun starts shining in the morning, the temperature actually drops, because when a lot of things evaporate, that draws energy. So there is this weird thing that the temperature drops a degree or two just as the sun comes, and that evaporation creates a lot of mist. So mist comes in the temperature falls in the morning, and then when it falls and rises and falls again and at dawn, so to speak. So that's why you have a lot of mist.
All right, so.
But yeah, then we have, and this is just like the mist march. This also has it drains two ways. And in the beginning, I was like, nah, I don't like that. So I made them into two marshes. But then I saw that even in the real world, they can be connected. So now they are connected again properly. So they have two inflows, or one big inflow, and that's the Javan River from the northwest. And that has another major tributary called the Great River too. So there's two ways in from the northwest, and then it flows out into the Sheldumar, and then the Javan continues south, and then the Sheldumar to the southeast. So it comes in and drains in multiple directions.
So the Rushmores, though, are also connected to the Oit in Dimfors, right?
Oh yeah, the Oit and goes, yeah.
Tributaries here.
So it's a big
yeah. So a lot of it is probably forested too. So yeah.
That's why I couldn't figure out if it was Rushmores were literally moors or if they're swamps, because they're adjacent to the forest or a little of each.
Yeah, Haggard the Horrible, that's awesome. But it's not bad, it pops. But yeah, you have some pressure changes there, I guess. Yep. Yeah, sorry, Mike. Yeah. There's so many cool stuff here. Cult of the Reptile God from Orlane.
Yep. That's the final layer. That's the final layer.
Yep. And then the Rotted Tower from the Empire of Vecna is a layer. And Far Anud, I forgot what that was, but I think it's a living Greyhawk thing, but I'm not sure. That was set up there too.
Lots of stuff.
Philip's Tower, Fort Tribulation, Riedel Manor.
And it's a crossroads to many different lands. Yeah. That's the thing. It connects to so many.
Yep. It has, what is it, at least 3 countries bordering it. So, yeah.
Which is good. So, it's a really placed properly.
There are frog hemoths in that.
Oh, there are frog hemoths in Rushmores? Cool.
According to the, I think, Living Greyhawk guide.
Good. I love froghemus.
And you know where they came from?
Yes, Expedition of Barrier Peaks.
Nearby.
Yeah, Sam, that's a good point, with more being used. And that, I think, I'm not sure exactly, but in England and stuff, it seems like an area that hasn't forest, and some of them can be wet, and some of them are very dry, like Boodmin Moor and some of the ones in Western England. They are not marshy at all. I've been to some of them, and they are wonderful hiking areas, and they're full of heather and low brush that is like a foot high and stuff, and they're usually dry. A lot of them they're not fertile at all. I think that's one of they were never turned into agricultural areas because they were full of rocks and pebbles and stuff. So
what you're describing now is the Lone Heath, right? Yeah.
Yep. And a lot of that is called moors, but some moors are waterlogged, boggy, fancy areas too. So yeah. So there might also be dialect difference. In some areas, things had different names in the local dialect too.
Is it called rush moors because there's rushes? Is the main vegetation?
Might be, yeah.
I thought it was called a rush moors because the water actually moved faster than other swamps.
Yeah, but it might be what we call rush hour too. It doesn't move. It might move slowly, so it might be a pun, so to speak, or something. So yeah. Yeah, and peat is one of these things that we should mention because peat is the material, is that compressed vegetation that has been compressed down into the bog or the fen or the wetlands or the marshy area. So you get compressed into it. And what a lot of people do, especially up in the northern parts of the world, like Siberia and Canada and Scandinavia, you dig it out and then you cut it into brick-like pieces and you sit it out to dry over summer, and then it becomes an excellent fuel. You can burn it instead of wood or coal, firewood, so you can burn peat. And it's an excellent fuel. And a lot of areas up near close to the Arctic Circle and stuff, you don't have that much firewood. So peat is an excellent way of getting fuel.
Okay, yeah, I need to know this for my campaign. How many gold pieces is a pound of peat?
Probably fairly expensive because it's a lot of work to dig it up, so to speak. But it
Really?
also
or silver.
yeah, but it also carries way more energy. Just
700.
if you take firewood, it's not that dense. Peat is on its way to become coal. So a pound of coal has way more energy than a pound of firewood, and peat is somewhere in between, is my guess. Yeah.
A pound of peat, my guess would be 10 silver.
Yeah, more in the silver range.
Meaning to gather firewood is easier. It's easier than to getting coal is probably more difficult. You have to dig in the ground to get it. And peat is easier than coal, but harder than firewood. So yeah.
So that's a good point. Noting, and just coming over to here, that this place here is known for its peat bogs, specifically in the slavers, right? That's how they trade and all Wyvern. And this is a small community with a dwarf Hexter priest, but it says right in the the writings that they have great peat bogs here.
Yep.
So.
And peat bog, they are in various climates, but they're most common up north in northern, because marshlands in general is more, and swamp wetlands is more common in cold areas or temperate to cold. But they are in many different landscapes. So, but and one of the other thing that might be useful if you're a fantasy adventurer is that there is in Sweden we call them the reindeer moss. And it's a moss that dries out, become white fingery things that sits like big clumps on top in marshy, boggy areas, and it grows on top in like big lumps, and it's perfect to start fire with. You just dry it out. It's dry, and if it's not wet, you can just keep it around for a day or two, and it's dry and it burns really, really well. So it's perfect fuel to start fires.
So burn down to ash, or is there a residue left?
Exactly, yeah.
It burns down to ash?
Oh, yeah, it just evaporates away. It's like burning in newspaper.
I was just curious if it was.
Yeah, so it's very, very flimsy.
Smells bad.
No, it doesn't smell anything particular.
No, it doesn't.
It's perfect. That and beech bark is great to use when you start fires with. So you scrape off beech bark and you take that moss that is on top, and then you can use flint and steel, and you can actually start a fire.
How come you're never on one of those Survivor series things, Anna? Man,
well, when the military, you learn these things, so you learn to set a fire out in the wild, so you know what to get, and yeah.
Excellent.
So that is, and that's something you find. So find things to start a fire with, like fuel in cold climate is usually fairly easy. It's not impossible at all. Yeah.
No tropical islands for Anna, Jay. She wants to be dropped off in a swamp.
No, there's so much mosquitoes. I hate mosquitoes. I hate being wet too. Yep. Mm-hmm. And another tip when it comes to finding directions in northern areas and not only swamps and stuff, but it's you look at trees and you see from which side of rocks and trees the lichens grow and moss grow. It grows on the southern side where the sun shines. So yeah, that's another one you can look at. Yeah, wet boots are the worst. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's another one.
Always keep your feet warm.
Yep.
Extra socks. What movie?
Yeah. So the Rushmores might be one of these that has some old legends buried and some dead bodies from the Vecna times and
yeah, absolutely. And remember, William Henry Dvorak has his halfling community in here too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when Vecna was there, was it a swamp?
My guess, yes, because these rivers have probably been there for a long, long time. So yeah, they've been there probably as long as the geology has been reasonably the same. And Vecna is only a couple of thousand, it's like 1,000 years old a little bit. And in geological terms, that is yesterday. So it's probably been around fairly similar for we have to think thousands of years for that to change.
So nothing sinister about it, no like magically created swamp to surround my castle kind of
might
stuff.
be, yeah. Locally, you might add to it. Meaning he might have built the palace and then dug a moat to create them. So locally, you could probably add to it. Like that I can totally see because it's a lot easier to build the castle first or the keep, and then you dig the moat around it afterwards when you built it. That I've seen examples of that in the real world. That you dig it out afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know about building building castles and keeps out here is probably difficult. Can be done, but it's probably extremely difficult.
Yeah,
and it would not be a fun place to live.
No, but some people live there or creatures live there because it isn't a fun place. So Vecna might want to have his hideout there when he can do his evil deeds
we don't know.
Secret.
We don't know how much of a swamp it was back then either. It may not have been anywhere near as bad as it is now. So, yeah.
And locally, he might have added to it simply because, and you never know. Meaning, you have access to powerful magic, then you might change things and permanence and mud to stone or whatever it is. Yeah, you can change things. Yep. Then Javan is, since it's one of the biggest rivers, that means that at the estuary of it there is huge wetlands. That makes perfect sense. So the Hool and the Javan create the Hool marshes. And since you have two big rivers that combine, one huge river and one decent sized river combine into creating the Hool marshes. And then it's a subtropical area too, so that probably a lot of rain as well.
So and there were so many adventures down here.
Yeah.
So many. I forget the one that starts over here at the towers. The one of the UKs. A lot of the UKs.
The Sinister Tower, or
yes, Sinister's Tower. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Serister. Sorry. Yeah. Serister's Tower. Yep.
So.
Yeah, Hool is. I ranked over Rushmores is what I was talking about.
Ah, gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So here's 3 brilliantly written major adventures that are in this area. So let's start. We already did the Tomb of the Lizard King, right? Sakatha's there and stuff. What a great adventure! I ran that for my 1000th. I'd run it before, but yeah, it's really, really fantastic. That's 1. 2. Baldrin's Beacon's there. I'm sorry, that was a bad snip. Really a cool adventure. And then most importantly of all, is Horror in the Hools by Carlos and myself. All right there. So, yep. And there's others. Yeah, well, I love the Hools. I've used them a lot. So,
and we have to mention the extension of the Hool Marshes is Salt Marshes on that edge of that too. So, yeah.
And that's what I was wondering about the name Salt Marsh. So is it because the swamp once covered that area?
It's by the coast, so it's one of these coastal wet regions, so to speak, that are plenty of. Meaning, look at Florida and look at the various areas in the West Indies and islands. They're full of wetlands that are not close to fresh water, but to ocean water, so salt water. So they are. Northern Australia is full of these type of marshlands. So coastal areas are by its nature, meaning coasts aren't always like land and water. A lot of them are like gradual. You go gradually from land to water, and that's where you have wetlands of various kinds.
That's where my Horn Holes begins, Dun Mounds.
Yeah.
we place there. So in Australia, I think they have, and it's not it's on the coast, but they have the oldest living organisms, the stromatolites. They're
Yeah.
like 2 billion
Yep.
years.
Yep.
But
Yep.
that's like a marshy area that they live, you know.
Well, that's more that's like simply a beach in that
Okay.
sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, from what I've seen, I've never been to Australia, so I'm definitely
Yeah.
not a local expert. But from what I've seen from nature movies and stuff, they live on in seawater that are a few feet deep.
Right. It doesn't have a
Yeah.
heavy, a hard current either. So
No,
that's, yeah.
exactly, and it's tidal
They
floodplains
do moose.
and
Okay.
stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they are in other areas too. I think it's they want areas that have been geologically and climatology stable for a long time, so to speak. They
Right.
were probably common all over the place once in many long time ago. Yeah, and that is cool because you can have interesting monsters that are very they will just look like they're part of the local geology, so to speak.
So this is the most used swamp. I mean, you can say the vastest, but it's one adventure. Unfortunately, you know, Gaetano passed about over a year ago, and we never got his stuff. But Gaetano did a whole lot of write-ups on the vast swamp. It's a shame.
Oh, yeah, that's sad that we didn't
Tim
get
is
that.
trying. They have a
Okay.
mysterious Tim with yeah.
Yeah.
But and the whole marshes run really far south. Really far south. They run all the way
Oh, yeah.
into Berghoff. I mean, they, you
Yep.
know.
I
So
just depicted it that way because we have from there, and it makes sense if you have
yeah,
like a floodplain that the river, and since the mountains are so tall, there is like a lot of water coming in from snow melt and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
yeah, tall mountains usually catch a lot of water.
So in the writing
Mhm.
for the original Greyhawk descriptions on Hool Marsh, it talks about quaking mires and bottomless pools.
Oh.
Hmm.
What do you think of that? And
That's cool.
quaking
Yeah.
mires,
Quaking Mars could be
what would that
gas.
be?
Yeah, quaking
Okay.
mire. One of them is yeah. It can be gas. It can also be seasonal things. When things thaw in the winter, up in Siberia and stuff, you have these things that explodes like cold volcanoes that they're like popping up and bursting up. So they can be gas and they can also be caused by permafrost that thaws. So they in cold climates they have one way, but down here they can be gas, and they can also be, meaning in some areas like Mexico and others, you have synodes. You have these that are connected over vast
Yeah.
distances underground, so to speak. So you can have underground river systems and stuff. That tidal forces can become a thing too, and so you can have various connections that way, or they can, yeah. So they can be insect. Yeah. Yeah. Methane pockets from thawing permafrost. Yep.
So this is the lands of Washri. Supposedly Washri lives in here. He
Yeah.
said you
Yeah.
got Black Dragon,
Yeah.
Olycus, and you got
And
Sarcophagus Tomb. You got all sorts of
yeah,
great stuff here.
yeah, and like Pat 66, that's a perfect idea. Meaning in the fantasy world, they can be portals to the plane of water, and then they are literally bottomless. They lead into the realm of water, so to speak.
Yep. A
Marsh
ver-
of the unknown depths. Yep.
all right. So where did we miss?
I got a place I need Anna to explain to me.
You go for it.
All right. This is the Great Effluvial Swamp
Mm-hmm.
from White Plume Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one, and
It's a place that
it
could not exist
Right
on
here.
Darlene's map, but is in the adventure,
There
and
you go.
Anna somehow
mm-hmm.
made it work.
There
Yeah,
it is.
what
Good
I'm
one, Mike.
saying, yeah, it's I have it that it was a valley, and then the volcano spewed out lava that basically dammed it up. So it became the lava created a dam that cut off the valley,
So
and
what's
then the
effluvial? Is this what you're describing? Effluvial?
well, if fluvial, I'm not. You guys are much better in English than me, but I simply think that it's a combination of water from rain and coming from the surrounding hills and stuff into the marsh. But you also have a lot of gases and minerals and weird stuff coming from the volcano. So you can have a soup of all sorts of nasty stuff that comes. And in a fantasy world, nasty stuff mean you can have all sorts of things that grow in there that would not grow. So you can have one of these fantasy-esque, very weird ecosystems up there. But I
Okay, Gary says it's a
yeah,
description of the smell.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
meaning a lot of sulfur and other strong chemicals that comes out of it that are in the water. But I think basically from a hydrology standpoint, I think it's a river valley that got walled in, so to speak, or dammed by volcano eruptions that filled the exit into the valley. Yeah. So that created a natural dam, and that created the lake in the first place. And then the lake have slowly been filled up to eventually become so.
That's what attracted Thing Gizzard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's turned slowly from a lake slowly into a weird ecosystem with so it becomes like a weird bog of some sort, so to speak, with weird metals and chemical elements and stuff in the water. So there you can have all sorts of fun stuff that you can invent that will not be in a normal bog, so to speak. And you also have high altitude, and you can have fire influences and all sorts of stuff in there. So there can be weird volcanic gases. We have methane lakes in the real world that are so deadly that if you go out on the boat, that might be methane bubbling up from vents in it, that volcanic vents that and then lay on the lid that kills whoever is on the lake. So if you go for a swim, you might die from asphyxiation and stuff. So there is a lot of cool stuff like that.
I think this is an underrated natural border with Shieldlands and the Bandit Kingdoms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. That might be why Thin Lizard. Yeah, the Thin Gizzards can have weird concoctions and stuff. So yep.
All right. So Gary said a couple in Habana Land.
Oh yeah, that now we're in the tropics. We have meaning it rains every day in the tropics, so you have
not as
lots of yeah.
He said Lone Heath and which other one did he say?
Yeah, Lone Heath on the east there is a named one that doesn't have much content to it more than it's
Paliso
there.
Swamp.
Yeah, so that has at least a dragon and
follow.
This is probably the biggest or most clearly mangrove we have in
let me go
because
to a better one.
Yep.
I'll go to this map.
Yeah, Paliso Swamp. Now we're in the tropics, and which means this is probably close in the real world. Look at the mangroves in Brazil, for instance, or the mangroves in Australia and stuff. There you have some of the similar type terrain.
Paliso.
You have coastal tidal waters that are full of forests that are flooded half the time and dried out the other half and stuff, and a little bit like Florida too. And so it's one of these really salty salty swamps with covered in trees and stuff.
I thought that there was an adventure here, but I guess not. But Quagmire's from.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where Quagmire comes from, but it's somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
let's see if I can find that.
That is oh my God, I mean, is that the it's not Tomokon's one.
Oh.
From Mystara? Quagmire's from Mystara?
Well, let's see here.
It's an X. Quagmire's an X series module. The dragon. Oh.
Here. Let's see here. Quagmire seems. I get a hit on 100 and Dragon 121, but I need to double check in the PDF to see.
It's an adventure. Yeah.
Okay, let's see here.
It's an adventure if it's Dragon 121.
Quagmire. Quagmire.
Yep.
Yeah, Quagmire is in the Fiend's Embrace. It's no, that's no, it's just the word Quagmire. It's
Yeah,
not
no,
the it's
it's not
not
the. It's not the. All right. He says it. He says it's Mystara. Sam says.
Oh, okay. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's go to Dungeon 69. Slave that to the 1T, page 10. I know you guys are going to say that's not GREYHAWK. Well, too bad.
Calypso swamps have a lot of man-eating plants,
Right.
and
See the
according
front of the
to
map.
Scarlet Brotherhood,
Mm-hmm.
hallucinogenic flowers.
Cool. So I love this so much. I'm putting it there. Right. The mirror. It's not that big. All right. The Mirror of Dead Men.
Where's that?
It's in Forgotten Realms.
Okay.
But I've did an entire series, and this is the one that I want right here in my map, right there. There's nothing there, so it's not affecting anything. So it's just like it's an area that's sinking further, and that is it. So yeah, and
And that is also makes sense because there's a lot of coastal areas. Usually, you can perceive them as sinking because they erode away.
We don't need
that water washes away the coastline in a lot of areas. So,
exactly. It just fits, and you just twist the map a little bit, and you got it. So, yep. So, and there's 5 adventures going from adventure number 69 all the way to 73. It's a 5-part series. The last part, look, that one says the Wild Wild Coast in here. So, the last part of this, I am Merkel. I just replaced Merkel with Nerol. So, I made it all Nerol. And page 22, and that is by Eric Boyd, our friend, our Telegord Stunknord himself, who unfortunately I wish he would end up going to Gary Con. Yep. So that is the one that yeah. So I think it's cool, and that's why I'm adding it in. So whenever I get a major update from Mana in the map, I'm going to just have it say, Anna, make this area swamp for me. Right there. Yep. Okay. Cool. It's a slippery slope. Well, I'm a trendsetter, Troy. I'm not a follower. I go by my own flow, right? And so, yeah. Yep. No, intervention. Anna thinks it's cool, right? You think it's a cool idea? No one else needs to do it, but it's in my game, so I may rerun them again soon. And I did them well before, well before I was streaming, years before. I may rerun them. They're so good, such a great series. In fact, it's a series that those 5 adventures are what gave the Paizo guys, James Jacobs, Jason Bowman, and Eric, to start creating Shackled City, and that's where they based it on, was those 5. Oh wow, what a great! It's the first adventure path is that. So yeah, only if there's only wetland where bad guys are scared. Yeah, that's cool. All right, where else?
Let's see. We have.
It has so many projects.
Yeah. Now I need to talk about the lack of wetlands in one area.
Yeah, please do.
And that is, if you want to go to areas that have very, very little wetlands, then Ull is probably one of these places that has very little. Ull is probably one of the realms that has very little wetlands for several reasons. It's high up, and it's a colder. You have mountains both in the east and the west that blocks a lot of the weather from coming in. So it's probably a very dry area. And there are some rivers and stuff here and there, and it's also probably so high up that it probably doesn't have that much deep soil or anything. So it's not that spongy, meaning to create wetlands, you often have to have a lot of spongy substance, meaning soil and sediment, sand, and other stuff that can be turned into mud and stuff that can hold water. But lands way up in sky high like that, if they're dry up, then you don't have that much lands. And then in the south, you have deserty areas, the rice steppes and others, they don't have much either. Seasonal, some of them are probably salty, and that's the other thing. Some bogs and marshes and swamps are salty and not even the ones that aren't close to the coast. Some of them are like we can have the Karnush or the Lake Udrukandar, but Kanak is where the Tuvak Baragu, that area there, you can have wetlands that are salt flats that are marsh that have no vegetation, nothing. They're just like salt lakes that have some water in them still. And that is another form of wetland that is kind of extreme and very different from all the ones we've talked about so far. But interesting in that sense that they can have their own type of weird ecosystem and nasty things like that they might the air might be foul and it might be stinky and stuff like that. And yeah.
So Jeremy Astrolire just brought something to my attention, our attention. There is a man-made swamp that was made by accident, right? The file glades.
Yeah, there
good,
you
good
can have.
catch,
Yeah,
man. We forgot.
yeah.
Yeah. So big battle during the war with Ayus. Lot of Knights of the Heart.
Yes, I switched to Dwarvish. Yeah.
And a lot of Iusians, and they all died, and somehow they set off some kind of ancient thing that was buried there, and yep, it is big. It's a cool thing. As you can see, we even have an adventuring group of druids in there. They have a grove, and they're trying to reclaim the area a little at a time. So, yep. The Evermire near Sassarine gave birth to a Ravenloft Dreadlord. I don't know too much about it, but let's check that out.
Yeah, I think it's Evermire.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
it's
it is. It's very small.
Yeah, it's north
there
of
it is.
there. Yep.
Yep. And that's
Red
a jungle.
Mire. That's yeah.
That's a jungle area.
Oh
Thank
yeah,
you.
this now we're down in the tropics, so yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That is cool. A Ravenloft Dreadlord.
And the tropics are very much like the far north, full of wetlands everywhere because in the tropics, because it rains so that's the highest precipitation on any parts of the planet, but the evaporation is higher too. But in the north, you have less precipitation, but way less evaporation. So that's why you have so much wetlands. But it is some of the rainiest areas around the polar circles up north, northern temperate, and the cold regions, and then the tropics.
So, speaking of items there, you brought up fourth. I don't know that item, and Night Below, it turns everything into swamp. Sounds pretty cool. But I got an item, and hopefully he plays Saturday in the Bone Baddies, and that is Dessa's character Slate. His fighter assassin has a Ring of the Lightfoot, which allows you to not walk on water, but allows you to walk on mud, swamp, and quicksand.
Oh, that could be handy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. Well, they've been good, man, real good. We just, this last weekend we raised $32,000 for St. Jude. So, starting up a new week, getting back to reality and the regular toil until GaryCon in a couple weeks. So, I gotta. What's the duration on that? Oh, it's just like a ring of water walking. If you have it on, you can walk. Yeah. Yep. It's a cool item. Thanks, Cora. Good to see you, man. See you Saturday. For eviction. So, all right, what questions does the audience have? It's right quarter of here, so we can start hitting some shout outs after this.
I've been all over the place in a lot of sense, but I hope it made some sense. So
no, it made a lot of sense, and I found some. You guys showed me some I didn't know even existed, like the Paranland ones, the one near Sassarine. I never knew about that. So, yes, you can. Yeah, don't worry about you losing your house. You'll see. I love it. Love the name. Yeah, I did too. I did too. So yes, we're gonna add Forgotten Realms area to GREYHAWK, and there's nothing any of you can do about it.
Mhm.
Just kidding. You just don't even need. You guys can all ignore it. But and then lots of other fun things coming. No questions. Wow.
Anna is that good at explaining
Wow.
things.
We
Yeah,
mentioned
Salt
salt
Marsh was
marsh
mentioned a
real
little
quick.
bit, and
Yep.
the thought on Salt Marsh is that that's the edge. Maybe that's the edge of the holes, or because there's a river
Yeah.
in between, and it was always salt.
And you have the,
Salt
the
plain.
the coastal area there, so yeah, you can have a local little marsh too. Yeah.
Yes. Here, Iron Chef, right here, Olycus. There, that is a black dragon right there in the whole marshes. He's out in the Tomb of Lizard King adventure. There's plenty of black dragons all over the place in GREYHAWK. Yep. We did Vast Swamp. Yes, we did. Vast Swamp
Mm-hmm.
was one of the first ones. Yep. So there were swamps near Edmundford. No, I don't think so. No. I don't think there's many in the Great Kingdom either. Swamps.
There's a Northland Peninsula and
Oh,
named
there's
on
this.
on the dragon.
There's
Yeah,
Lone
the
Heath. There's Lone
Lone
Heath
Heath.
that
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
Gary was talking about.
Yeah, and on the
Yeah,
Onval Peninsula, there's the Northland
that makes
Peninsula
sense.
has a swamp there. There's the
Oh, up here there's a small
yeah, a
swamp.
little yeah, there's a small swamp in the
Oh, up here.
Northland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Iron
missed
Chef
it.
asked if there was a black dragons or whatever in these major swamps. I'd say nearly every one of the
Yeah.
major
Yeah,
swamps.
and now speaking of it, we have one that is the Splinter Marsh near Black Splinter. I named it the Splinter Marsh.
Black splinters where?
Yeah, Black Splinter. There's a marsh around it, and I put a black dragon there in my campaign.
I
But
don't know
yeah,
where Black Splinter is.
it's in north of Rel Devon.
Oh, yeah, there's
Zoom
no
in
way.
there, zoom
Oh,
in.
okay, here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
there
I
you go.
named it the Splinter Marsh there, and I put a black dragon there. Then I named it Ratukash. Dark Spike. Yeah. So I but
Yes, we
so
talked about that. Prune juice, nice name. That
Definitely,
yeah, that it
definitely.
would be these areas up here would be marshy, especially here in this area here.
oh yeah, there will be lots of
Yeah, yep,
wetlands there, lots of rivers
yep,
and cold
absolutely.
climate and stuff there. So yeah.
Yep, that's funny. Yeah.
There's
So,
a couple of more around the harp. The harp fence and the sword fence along the harp river. They are mentioned in even the Undying.
okay.
They're named. The harp fence and the sword fence are mentioned there.
Were they in Almor?
No, yeah, there's Southern Almor along the harp there. So there's now up. Yeah, there you go. That's
Oh,
the
there you
harp
go.
river.
I see him.
Yeah.
Small.
Yeah, harp fence
Yep.
and sword fence. Yeah, those are some of the smallest ones that still are named.
Yeah. So that's pretty interesting, Mike. How old is that in Cannon Fire? Right, that's been around a long time.
Super old.
Yeah, looks like it. So.
Oh, Great Wake Flood. That's interesting. Going to read that one.
Alrighty.
Oh,
So,
you wrote it, Mike. That's awesome.
yeah, very cool. I'm just looking to see how many years ago that was.
That's awesome. 2005.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, 20 years ago. Yeah, more than 20 years ago. Huh. Cool. That'll get you a lot of. Do you have a time frame when you decided that happened?
That's from the Ashes, actually.
Is it?
There's a character called Zendrelda who
Zendrelda's
has
tower.
a mad prophecy of the world flooding. So she builds her tower up on a big hill.
Yeah,
up real high. And
I haven't read this, and that was
yeah,
one of my inspiration for the flooding and the drying of the climate and stuff.
Right
I don't think I went far enough in that article, but I just tried to play around with some of the hexes and imagine what would happen if it flooded.
Where is it? It's right here. thought it was right in this area of Wild Coast, wasn't it? Zendralda's Tower.
It's near, the Wild Coast.
Go a bit
and
up
I think
north.
it's in the Gnarly.
No, it's go a bit north in Divers, south of Divers.
Oh, there it is. Yep. There you go. Yeah. Oh, and that was a prophecy?
Yep.
That's cool.
That's so cool. I didn't read this article, but I got a similar idea about the being climate change warmer and drier. So I have I made maps of the hot Earth and dry hot and cold Earth that I have. So I'm going to post a link to that where I detailed this stuff, so to speak, and ice ages and ice cover and climate and stuff like that. So yeah. So it's a part, let's see, part.
No, it's not it. I know there's a map, and I don't know where it is on my machine showing the lakes with the sea of dust. You know.
No, Gary did a map of that.
Yeah,
that
I don't know
cool.
where it is though on my machine.
Iron Chef, it's from the Ashes.
Yeah. It's from the Ashes box set. Absolutely.
So I made a 12 articles, 12 blog posts about Earth and its past, its history, and that was the first take at it. So it was my test, and I kind of whet my appetite on it. So it's coming. There will be a follow up on that in a year or so, and I'm working on it now. So
Shaw's, you're up soon on giveaway, on the sponsor giveaway. So sit tight. I'll be getting in touch with you as I get down the list. So I think I got the first 5 done. We'll have the first 5 done after tonight. So, well, I hope you all enjoyed this discussion, which was a fun one. Really fun one. So, Scala, did you respond as well? I think you. Let me see here. I got one Elmore left, Scala. It's the villains one. It's a smaller one, but it's the last one of the Elmores left. Just let me know. But if there's something else you want, let me know. They tend to be the first things that go. Alrighty. So we got 2 giveaways tonight. Oh, okay. We'll just take a look. There's no rush. So, 2 sets of giveaways. In closing, Mike, what are your thoughts?
I think before tonight, in my research and listening to Anna's lectures on swamps, I mentally drew no distinction between any of the swamps and fens and whatnot in the world of GREYHAWK, but now I have a better immersive vision of it.
Okay.
Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
It's a lot, some cool stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's one of these underrated locations that you can do a lot of cool stuff with, and you can have meaning you can have up north and others. You can have in swamps there can be a lot more water underground than you realize. That might be a lake, so there might be cool monsters living in the swamp that only comes out certain times of year, and if you dig deeper and stuff, so that could be.
Here comes Stroller Games. I know they had Luke Gygax on, and
hello.
Good to see you, Chuck. We're just finishing up here. We were talking about swamps and marshes and all sorts of fun things. But please, exclamation point drawing for the giveaways. We're going to have 2 of them. We're going to do some old classic D&D reprints of Ravenloft stuff tonight. But yes, welcome. Hope you had a nice discussion on Zagig, right? Castle Zagig, what's going on. And yes, sit tight because we got to talk about Chuck's playing in one of the games, GaryCon, and my table with Ed Greenwood. We could talk about all that. What's up, Wiley? So we have a lot of fun things going on. So yeah, Mike, this was a good. I'm glad to see you got a good learning on your. All the Elmores stuff. All the Elmores are gone now in the top 4 or 5. All the Elmores are gone from the sponsored giveaways. By the way, if you're new here or you're coming in from Troll Lord, we raised $32,000 over the weekend for St. Jude. Troll Lord Stephen Chenault ran one of the games. We appreciate that. Troll Lord has a bunch of giveaways as well, one of our sponsors. So we got a lot of really cool things going on here. It's exciting. It's really exciting. So, Anna, what are your thoughts on closing on this discussion?
That I think it was a good one to have, and but now since we've had two of these environmental ones, we should probably figure out something in next week. But I'm willing to tackle some other environment, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, thank you
I
guys.
threw out a bunch of ideas, and that's what he went with.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, it was the oldest one by far, right? Yeah,
Yes,
we hadn't
yeah.
done we hadn't done it
By
since like
far.
number 60, and like we're on 285 now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that's like 5-6 years ago.
Yep.
You know, so it was a perfect one. So, little known NPCs of the Flannis.
Oh,
Yeah, that may be a good one,
interesting one.
Gary.
Yeah.
That may
I like
be
it.
a real good one. So I'm just putting this down here. So Scout. So in our top individuals, Anonymous, Phantom NJ, and then Razkill, and then Scalagrimer. Top four donators this time are all good to go. So we'll go on to Wily Hobbit. You're up next. Believe it or not, I saw you in chat. You're up next. So I'll get with you. So all right. All right, Anna, what's going on? What do you got going on?
I just posted the new Geo package. I finally managed to get all the stuff in properly packaged in Geo package. If you want to take my the newest version of my map and make your own version of it, this is the one to get, so to speak. It's only available for my top patrons now because I don't want to be flooded with questions and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a test, but I've tested it on 3 different computers, and it comes with the icons built in. They're embedded in the file. So all you need is QGIS. That is free software. You download this file. It's about 192 megabytes. And there's a font list, and then you can make your own version. The templates that I used for create the different area maps and stuff is built in there too. So with a little bit of knowledge in QGIS, you can actually change and change all oh, thank you. I hope it worked, Phantom NJ, Rob. I hope it worked for you. So that's so this is the same file that I used for developing the latest version of the map. So it has everything in one file, so to speak. So there will be a different version. There will be a 576 version soon, and there will be one GREYHAWK version in the future as well, and GeoPackage. And the good thing with GeoPackage is that it's all contained in one file, but you can still export it out, you can change it and all that. It's an open standard file, so it's not hidden away or anything like that. You can export out the icons, but they're also available on my website. So, and I'm now going to launch an alpha version of my sources website. I've started working on that in Notion. So I've just put in like 30 or 40 different places, but eventually I will put every name on there with some references and where to come. So you can search for categories, what's published lore, what's living GREYHAWK, what is my stuff that I've conducted, or other fan creation stuff and so on. So that is coming too. So it's in early. So that I will give that URL to my patrons so they get a chance to test it out, but that will be public. It's already public if you know the URL. So I'm going to spread it out slowly. So otherwise I will get 50 comments and people will complain that I don't answer. That's why I try to hide alpha in the first versions a little bit. So the Geo package, in I hope about a month or so, it will be put on my website, or even sooner. So I will, as soon as I see a few people comment and say it works, then I will just post the whole thing on my website, so you can just download it and use it. And of course, it's Creative Commons like everything else in GREYHAWK, so to speak. But it's the best way. All the styles are there and stuff. So you basically just have to delete a city, put another city in, and set the category, and it will look right, and so on. So it's the easy way to make your own map, much easier, and it doesn't cost anything. QGIS is open source software. It doesn't cost a penny. So yeah, so that's what's going on, and there will be a stream on Friday. I'm not really sure what I will work on Friday, but it will be something. So yeah.
Mike, what's going on with you?
Well, running a Parentland campaign.
Nice.
I'm ready for Gary Con, and I got a new comic up on the blog.
Awesome. Let's check it out.
Oh, cool. Oh, more.
Under 8.
I need to catch up on your under comics. Yeah.
Yeah, you might want to catch up
Yep.
on that.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of ironic, the toadstool and that. Nice.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Fantastic. Always good stuff, man.
They're going somewhere.
They're going somewhere, yes. Straight down, straight to death, probably somewhere in the Mike comment down the road.
Yep.
That's just scenery, background scenery. They're going somewhere else.
Okay. That's excellent, man. Keep it rolling. Thanks for the idea tonight. It was a really good discussion. All right, so I'm going to show you something. Do not be shocked when I show this to you all, okay? Are you ready? Please relax. It won't hurt you.
Uh-oh. Awesome.
That is, yes. Fritz is back tomorrow night. So, the Fritz look. Fritz Winchester. All right, so yes. So I didn't even write it up there. So terrain is ready. Terrain is ready for tomorrow night. Adventure number 1097. The Knights of Ulick plus Fritz. It burns when I fungi. There you go. So something sinister, more than normal, more than a usual day, is happening at the Tickling Feather in Altamira. That's where we start. So, good old Fritz, as Curtis is playing and Coco's playing and Stronghold Tim's playing, in addition to my guys Bill and Tom. So that'll be on Thursday, tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Yes, freshly. And then Saturday at noon, the Bone Baddies are back. And I got Coco, Timothy, Puff, Dessa, the Film Girl Project, and Korg for called Eviction, and that is on Saturday. And so the Film Girl Project is going to GaryCon. I convinced her to go, so I put her in the Slav game. Because I can.
Awesome.
Yeah, so she's in that. So, but here's the big announcement. I know some of you may know this. Okay, if you, I think it's a big announcement. But so if you know, as a Twitch partner, you can ask to select a time slot to be highlighted on the Twitch front page. Weekends are extremely tough. So I said, well, what do I got coming up on a Wednesday night or one of those days? So we have been selected 3/19. Anyone know what that date is? We're on the Twitch front page starting at 6 o'clock Central on January 19th. That's at GaryCon. That's our talk show for 4 different groups. We'll be on the Twitch front page. Yes. Sound good? I know last time I've been on the front page, I had 2,000 viewers watching. So yeah. I think it's a good thing for GaryCon and for the community. And yes. And so, that's ice cream night. You're right, Valmoku. Absolutely. It's ice cream night. So yeah, we will be there. And yes, I was very happy that they approved it. So I'm filling the slots. Okay. And I'll be getting with people. If you're in the community, you want to stop in, of course you can stop by. We rotated people in and out, for four sessions, right? Last year, 4 rounds. I got Troller Games on round 3, and we'll be getting some of the personalities there as well, and a lot of community people. So I'll be reaching out. Okay, and that'll be Wednesday night, starting at 6 Central, out of the club. All right, and that's where, and we'll go to like 9 or 10 or whatever. Who cares? We'll go because Curtis and Brett will be at the bar after that anyway, and then we'll go. But I'm not drinking like last year. No, not on Wednesday night. So cool. Well, this is remember, this is right when silver badge pickup's going on. So if you need to get your badge, that doesn't start till 5. You're going to be in that line that's 2 hours long or whatever. So just note that, because that line, you saw how crazy that line was last year. Just note that. So, it may be tough being there first thing. All right. But just wanted to tell you that I was very happy that they approved that. Now I know the trick. Don't request stuff on Saturday night anymore because you're not going to get it. So do a strange off night and it works. So I can do that every 3 months. I can be on highlighted on it. All right. So yeah, checking in for the badge there, Wiley. Oh, is that what you're doing? You're volunteering? So yep, Wiley will be there, and so that's what's going on. So we'll see you tomorrow night for a fun GREYHAWK adventure in Altamira. Yeah, Fritz will be hungover. Method acting. Well, we'll see how Fritz is tomorrow night, because he's going to have some strange burning sensations in bad places because of the adventure. Sorry, but it's kind of makes sense, and it'll be fun. And we'll see you then. Let's do the giveaways. One will get the following: Ravenloft 1 and 2. The House in Griffin Hills 2. This is the first appearance ever of Azalin the Lich in this book. Okay? Little known fact. And then the original Ravenloft, that's 1. And the other one is Van Richten's Guide to Werebeasts and this Adventure of the Haunt.
Yep.
All right.
I forgot to add one thing. I'm going to put a link here. There is a new adventure module on the Lakofka archives.
Oh, cool.
LAB1 Lanthorn of Vel Sarkis by Dan Boggs, based on Len Lakofka's material. So yeah.
Cool. Is that going to be available in a hard copy at any point?
That you shouldn't ask me, but I wouldn't be surprised print on demand, at least, so to speak. So yeah.
Cool, Troy. It's on yours too. Awesome. Beautiful.
Yep.
That's great. So it's a free download, everyone.
Awesome. Good.
Go
Perfect.
download it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. All right. Who are we rating into after? I think I'm going to try, let's see, I'm going to go to Epic Realms tonight. They've been rating into us lately too, so we'll do Epic Realms tonight. All right, let's do the giveaway. 2 winners. Oh, and
that's awesome, Curtis. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I got it. So Saturday's game, 12-4. I got another set of these. So we're going to do another whole giveaway of this Northland set for Saturday, and this is still in 5e for Saturday's game. Okay. So if you are, if you're around, it's 12-4. Yep, in the afternoon. So cool. Beautiful, Troy. That's awesome to hear. Great to hear. All right. Thank you all for the support tonight. Mike and Anna, thanks for a great show.
Thank you.
Let me go here, and here we go. Setting it up. Last call. Closing it out. First winner, Touch of Evil. Second winner, Captain Mymorph. Are they both on to claim? Let's take a look. Captain Mymorph is on. Touch of Evil are both on in Lurk, so there you go. Touch of Evil. All right, Touch. Which one? Your choice. You won, so you get to decide which one you want. Do you want the 2 Ravenloft ones, or do you want the Van Richten's Guide and the Adventure? You tell me, and then Mymorph gets the others. So you let me know. All right. And we're going to raid into Tales of Initial. It's going with well over 100. That'll be awesome. Ravenlofts. Well, they're all Ravenlofts. You mean the Adventures, right? You want the 2 Adventures. Got it. All right. Cool. So, nice. So, Wiley, I got to get, like I said, you're up on the list very shortly, so I will get to you all. I'll send messages. There's no rush to get all the sponsor gifts out. And if you need to go over some of them, just, I usually give you a pool of 5 to 6. They're in that grouping that are worth, like, by the way, so the big one's next. The entire 1E compilation would be the entire 1E compilation that Patrick donated of all these, right? All those. There's like 6 books. That'll be one of the next ones. The things that Sam gave, because they're so rare, and these are in shrink wrap. These are the Living Greyhawk Gazetteers with the Malden Greyhawk City map inside, unopened. There's one of each of those, for that. And then the compilations from Troller Games. There's the entire compilation of all the books for Amazing Adventures and all the books for Troller Games and the Castle Keeper Guide set. So there's a lot. That would be like the next grouping of stuff I would say would be worth it up. Okay. All right. So here we go. So we'll see you all tomorrow night. Thanks. Let me hit a wrong button here. I didn't hit any wrong buttons tonight, did I? Of course. Of course. And thank you all. Let's keep it rolling here. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Look, you're gonna I'll bust my stunts at GaryCon. Have at it. I'm gonna have the flag flying on the back. I don't care. So I'm driving around a cart, and if you get in my way, I'm running you the hell over. So there you go. So
yeah, thank you, Uncle Fuss.
Yes. I now behave myself. Thanks.
Yeah.
We're gonna rate it. We're rating into who the hell did I say? Did I say another? Wait a minute. Oh my God. Epic Realms. We're running into Epic Realms. They're running Pathfinder 1E, so there. That's cool. All right. Setting the rate up. Yep. See you, darling. Get it. Definitely want to rate into an actual game tonight. They got 18, so let's like quintuple their total here. Beautiful. Awesome. It's going to be great. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you all. See you tomorrow night.